Alright fellas, the question I see all the time remains unanswered. What is the best army possible in Bannerlord? Is it a horde of cons guards, swarming with hit and run tactics, or a mix of Fian Champs and Imperial Elite Cataphract, sweeping everything in front of them aside? Is it masses of elite palace guards and Valandian sharpshooters, or some kind of mix of the best troops in the game? In this series, we'll look to explore and answer that question, as I put my 10,000 hours of Bannerlord to the test with 400 elite mixed units comprised of what I consider the best possible 400-man army in the game. We'll take on a variety of different challenges and, amplified by mods, enormous legions of the enemy to try and demonstrate the awesome power of the perfect Bannerlord army. We are going to make it, and now I just hope there's enough good daylight here to show you this battle, because I've been waiting, I've been salivating for an opportunity like this. When we ran over to Legetta, I was worried that this castle would be gone already before we got back here, but this is perfect. Now we don't have our 400, we have 360, and we're going to lose even more sneaking in. Of course, I haven't had time to run to a city because these battles were effectively back to back. I had just enough time to heal up a little bit. And 6,400 Battanian forces slamming into Veron Castle here. Now, most guys that watch the channel on a regular basis know about Veron Castle and castles with this layout. So welcome back again to the episode of Tactical Enlightenment, our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related, and especially Advanced Battlefield Command and Tactics. And hold on to your hat, folks. We're going to have a really interesting battle here. Our elite army of 360 troops, plus whatever small garrison is inside Veron Castle, against 6,000 plus Battanians. And I don't think this is much of a challenge. I know that seems outrageous, but I've been salivating on a battle like this with Veron Castle. This castle is almost a cheat code if you have great tactics and, of course, a strong army, and we have both. All humility aside here, I think we are more than ready to take on this Fian Champ army. Now, talk more about the army here as we continue to roll about in this this side series. This is the third one we've already filmed here in just a day, so we'll see. Okay, that is going to make things very interesting here. There's a fucking hole in the wall. They have trebuchets. I did not notice that there's a hole in the wall. That is... I don't know if I've ever defended this castle with a hole in the wall. The walls are all beat up here, so it's going to be hard to even use this fire catapult. So hold on to your hats. This just got a lot harder than I was expecting. They have a siege tower as well, so we've got to try to focus on at least destroying a siege tower. I'm going to need double squares here to guard both of these entrances. Of course, we're not going to be able to destroy the ram and the siege tower, and rams are really hard to destroy, especially at this castle. So we will try to destroy a siege tower and design a nasty defense structure here. I don't even know if we can use this left side. But we've got to make 2 infantry divisions. We'll have a skirmisher division that can eventually be added to one of those infantry division. We'll dump a bunch of javelins into the enemy elite troops. Flame, hopefully we can at least throw those fireballs into the packed ranks of the enemies here. I can set up 1, 2, 3. I think we'll just have to settle on 4 archer divisions here. So the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. We'll make it easy for you guys to remember. Those will be archer divisions. And the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th will be infantry divisions. We'll try to have a shock troop division, the 3rd Corps, and hopefully this works out. Of course, if you're watching this, you should know it was at least an interesting battle. For this series, we are taking 1 shot at each one of these defenses. I narrate these live. And if I ever have to take 4 or 5 attempts to succeed at one of these, I will do my best to let you fellas know. 1st and 4th. I want more skirmishers in that 2nd division. Got to do just a bit of tinkering here. In this situation, I really do need to have optimal tactics because suddenly there's 2 huge accesses for the enemy. So 3rd Corps there, they can help in an auxiliary manner. The 2nd Corps is skirmishers. There's an awful lot of Legionnaire in there. I've had some success by just putting this little spear thing on there, and for some reason, there we go, look at that. Now it's almost all javelin throwers, kind of perfect. So a little bit of a trick there for you fellas trying to divide your army. I'd like to use this side over here, but they seem like they're vulnerable to enemy archers. So I might have to play with this a bit. That definitely won't work. Those guys will get scorched out there in front. So let's pull it back a bit. That might work. I need these guys to have enough space to shoot too. I might have to just shrink this division because of course if they're overlapping each other like that, those guys won't shoot. And we need every single ounce of firepower in this battle. This is another good illustration of a situation like this. The pre-battle setup is so important. When guys talk about tactics, I would say 2/3 of good tactics are formed before the battle starts. You must be able to do after the battlefield tactics to win battles like this, but it's kind of a combination of those two. If you could set up your units to succeed from the get-go, you're much more likely to win. So 5th. We've got the 6th. I've got this giant 8th division, which is, there's a few infantry there, which is kind of nice. They can skirmish towards the front if the enemy has a breakout. I'm going to use these 2 stairs, and we're going to put troops thickly on there. What else can we do here? We could just do 2 giant divisions in the center. Of course, that's the key to this castle, and it's why it's so defendable, is that all of these archers, almost all of these archers with this line of sight down towards both the gate and in this instance, this rare instance where there's a hole, we will be able to just scorch the enemy as they're trying to get in and attack the squares. The enemy's compelled to attack those squares unless they have like a huge surge of troops, in which case you simply shove the square into the hole, and then whatever troops are in the castle are sort of limited to those, right? It's like having a trap door where you can simply close it on the enemy and limit the onslaught. So we'll hold fire with the 2nd here. I better sit up for this fight. This is going to be gnarly. We're going to need our hammer here, hew the hammer, and that's a problem. These fucking trebuchets are going to kill our troops and maybe even make it difficult to do counter siege here. We'll see. I think those will one-shot even my character here, so I really have to watch. I have to keep my head down here. We're getting scorched on this catapult. Turn this, motherfuckers. These guys are going to get killed. Fuck, he just dropped a fireball. One of these precious fireballs. He's getting scorched because there's no wall there. Oh, fuck. That guy's going to get killed. Let's have him just crank that winch there. He seems a little safer. At least we hit that siege tower, so it'll only take a couple more shots here. Let's see if this guy, he's got better armor at least. And he's getting shot at too. Get your head down there, dude. Guy, he's getting scorched, but siege tower is down. So at least that part of it is complete. Now what though, right? I don't think these guys can stand on these catapults. This ain't gonna work. There's a huge group of archers to our left, or to our right there, flaming everything on this side. We're fucked. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna destroy this fucking mangonel. I want these fire catapults to throw on the enemy, and these guys putting them in there, they're liability. These guys are gonna get completely ripped apart. Look, he just got smoked right in front of me. This mangonel, and that'll prevent any of our troops from coming up here and suiciding. And fucking flinging in trebuchets. Get down, fellas! God damn it, it just killed a guy. I just saw him get killed. Alright, so you might be watching our first loss on the channel. This is about the hardest circumstances you could be facing here at Veron Castle. They have tons of siege and we don't. We can't use our siege, and they're lobbing in trebuchet rounds and killing our troops. On top of that, 6,000 troops are pouring through multiple openings. At least we destroyed a siege tower, so they only have 2 ways in, and we're going to have to really focus our defenses here on this left side. Now I'm of course going to wait for the troops to come up here and then start flaming the shit out of them with these fireballs. I've got to get, 150, 200 kills here with these fireballs, especially of their elite troops as they come up, because if these troops are, if they get 3 or 4 different waves of 1,000 elite troops pounding on our forces, our squares won't survive and we won't win in this battle. So somehow I've got to... They're really spread out. Usually the AI tends to compact their units, but it's almost like they've been listening to me here, like your phone. These guys are spread out to minimize their casualties. There's a huge glob, of course, coming over to the other wall over there, but I don't know, apart from running down here and one at a time, it's not very effective. I got a rock pile right there, and I guess that'll work. We can just chuck it right down here. God damn it, I got shot and dropped the ball. Of course, it doesn't explode if you don't extend your arms for some reason. Fucking stupid. Oh, shit. The enemy does this sometimes. They're fucking moshing up the sides here, so I can't use this at all. You fucking assholes. Fuck you. This is our gatehouse. Come in. Come on in. The water's warm, bitches. Get up. Well, this is not going to work, right? How can I throw these things when the enemy's fucking basically cheating and spawning right up the wall? So it's additionally difficult here. It's getting harder by the second. But our archers are working. There's beautiful death spam. There's no one to use these balls on. I don't really have a good target. I can't really hit the guys that well, even in the gatehouse. You know what I can hit them is underneath here. The little center thing. I can hit these guys. Oh, shit. God, these archers are scorching us. Now, we're going to try to use the RTS mod tastefully in this series. You guys, everybody's time is important. We will speed it up appropriately and then slow it down for most episodes. If we get the enemy in a death loop, we will probably speed some segments up. Now, I've got this third corps, right? We're going to have to use these guys strategically. Basically, when there's a small amount of the enemy sort of haranguing our square, we will bring our shock troops up, have them charge, and as soon as the enemy turns their attention to them, we will have those guys pull out, right? We're basically going to do the old ancient birth control here, right? When in doubt, pull out. We will be bringing those guys in, having them attack, and just like now, where I'm getting attacked, we'll have those guys pull back. But you can see the archer barrage. I mean, it's pulverizing, and the enemy is magnetizing to the squares, which is obviously an essential part of this strategy, right? If the enemy just pours in on you, it's much, much harder. The key to this is having squares near the door, so that some of the enemy trickle in, but not all of their forces, right? And the other thing, you have to micromanage, because if they do start to pour in, you need to be able to shove that square into the hole. That way the enemy is limited on how many they get in. We're drilling our own guy here, but look at the difference, right? I hit our troops for 59 and theirs for 100. Part of that is all that is from all the different banners we have. That is from all the different perks that our companions have. Now, we are using the StrengthenAI mod, so the enemy does have some high-power lords, and I'll do my best to show those guys occasionally. They will have 200 weapon skill, and some of them even have 275 plus medicine skill, kind of like our main character here. But nothing like our main character, right? Our main character is essentially a Bannerlord god. It just does not get more deadly than this, especially he has that smithing skill, of course, that exceeds the normal hard cap, right? So his smithing skill allows his two-handed to just go above where it artificially is capped normally. Now, we're going to use this third corps here. These guys can act as a personal bodyguard unit. I'm keeping an eye on the death spam, see if we see any big red flushes. I will adjust to that, but I've got to be able to do some damage here with these fireballs. Unfortunately, the enemy has a huge amount of archers, and they're staying at range. There's only so much you can do about stuff like that, right? When the enemy is, when the enemy's not complying with your plan here, you just kind of have to adapt, right? This third corps here will protect me some. If any of their guys mosh pit up the sides there again, I will simply back into my bodyguard here. I've got these fireballs to throw. I've got a few other rocks to throw, and I'm just watching the death spam, as you may be as well, and it's a shredding, right? Our archers, cons guards, sergeant crossbow, etc. are just smoking everything that's coming in. And the good news is that the enemy's already down to its middle tier units. I would guess that we've killed maybe 1,500, and they're past their elite troops already. That's really good news. I don't think we could succeed here if their whole army was tier 5. Some of our third corps looks like they're getting killed over there. So I just want them in the gatehouse, in the guardhouse. You see how many arrows the enemy is shooting at us. The enemy has so many troops here. Mentioned it before, we are using the battle size mod, so the enemy has upwards of 1,500 troops on the battlefield. It's going to create some epic battles. Now this is going to work, right? As long as they're not attacking me, kaboom, right? It's just going to kill and injure scores of guys here. In fact, I think since we have a moment here, we will just dump as many of these rocks down here as we can. And then they are bottled up nicely, and we are killing a half a dozen guys and injuring a half a dozen more every single throw. Now this highlights in this episode why, and I want to talk about this on and off throughout this mini-series, why it's important to have units with shields. There are guys who are like, oh, I just have 400 cons guards and crush them. If you have 400 cons guards in this situation and you try to put 50 of them in 2 different squares, you lose because they get annihilated, right? Guys without shields do not do well in a square. Here, our squares are holding out incredibly well, right? We had 2 different squares of about 50 guys. They're both holding it like 60-70% of their full capacity because they're just holding their shield up and avoiding many a blow that would have been lethal to a cons guard. The guys out there with 400 Fian Champs, similarly. Now, they have a good weapon, like a Fian Champ's a good unit. However, if they're not, if they don't have a shield, they just cannot defend like this, right? And we've got 2 different squares that are doing a magnificent job. This is the specialization of Bannerlord, and I'm really glad that this is a better overall army than 400 cons guards, because otherwise the purpose of the game, or at least the end result for a lot of people in this game, would just be to go recruit 400 cons guards, and you would just fuck the prom queen, and there'd be no strategy, no skill involved at all. Is the enemy routing? No, or just zerging over here. There's a chance they route super early. We have obliterated their first couple 3 waves here, and it continues to get worse. There's, thank goodness for no friendly fire, right? There's just flaming arrows just scorching through where I'm standing. But I'm unhurt, right? Evidently I'm immune to fire. I've got my ring of power on, Nenya, or whatever the fuck that makes me immune to fire. And we will just blast our way through here. Hard to even see what I'm swinging at, but that doesn't matter, right? You just swing away, and I still have 80% of my health, and these are now middle tier units. Just not concerned about these guys. Now, I gotta be a little bit careful. Can't just stand here like a mouth-breathing idiot. But this is just a beautiful situation. Companions are gaining levels and shit like that. I got fucking dipshit tier 2 and tier 3 infantry blocking everything. But I was excited before this battle started, right? It's going even better than I expected, especially considering that they have trebuchets and are doing damage with trebuchets and have a fucking hole in the wall. I've said before on the channel that you could defend this castle against 10,000, and I think this battle so far is proving that. Now, you know, our forces are being dwindling, right? I'm aware of almost every single death. I'll glance up there every 5 or 10 seconds, and especially when there's 2 or 3 red, right? When you see guys die, Vanguard Ferris killed. That is the eventual attrition of these units, right? These guys are these guys holding in these squares are doing their absolute best, but obviously they're under a permanent assault, right? These guys are just holding up their shield and doing their best to not get killed, and they're still dying, right? Fortunately, I have this other division, the 2nd division. We can simply add to that square and reinforce it. If I have to, I can add archers and crossbow. Not archers, not Fian Champs, but crossbow. And again, that illustrates why crossbow are really valuable in a situation like this. If you have to form squares with your Fian Champs, you're fucked, right? But I have sergeant crossbow sharpshooters have huge shields, and these guys can go instantly from one of the best ranged unit in the game to one of the best defensive units. They don't have quite the armor that Legionary have, right? So your Legionary is better for the square, but comparatively with their giant Pavis shield, Imperial Elite Crossbow with their overall good armor, their little mace, and then Vlandian Sharpshooters are just indispensable units for a tough army. So I'm getting more uncomfortable the longer this lasts, of course. I don't know if we can destroy their whole force. And think about the kill ratio we have to have here. We have to have a 20 to 1 kill ratio to succeed. We've got under 400 troops against 6,000. So if you see a wave of green and then red, we need to have that consistently. When you see a couple red deaths, that's a problem. We need to exceed that. I see Fian Champs now coming up to this door. Let's pull this 3rd corps back. I really do want the enemy being shot to death and not fighting hand to hand here. They just turned, they did. Look at that shit. This force is fucking out of here, and success. Our guys fucking, they fucking cheer. Without looking, I would say we lost about 100 troops here. Maybe a little more. And even though there's a hole in the wall, this diabolical castle design still allows us to exceed, outnumbered 15 to 1 plus. Yeah, Veron Castle is amazing. 128 casualties here. The garrison suffered some losses, but we don't really care about that, right? Although I am going to gather those garrison troops up because this series continues. We're going to look for more challenges. I will probably, let's see how I'm going to do this. I may have already done it with how you're watching these. I'm probably going to insert an open field battle so that it's just not siege after siege. Of course, this battle happened a day and a half or 2 days after our siege defense of Legetta. Don't want to have too much of the same just to keep it fresh for you fellas. So recruit, or not recruit, just like the Valandian siege, the entire kingdom of Britannia has come with us, right? Because we're not sharing these prisoners with anybody. It's just our army and 5,300 prisoners, and all of the nobles of Britannia get slapped in chains, and on we go here. I'm actually going to recruit a few of these prisoners. I wanted our army for this series to be 400, and obviously through the sequence of events here, we have already dropped well below that. I'm going to empty this garrison, and then it'll be on after that. So, of course, if you want to see more from this side series, if you have a suggestion for a certain type of battle you want to see or a certain kingdom, I'm all ears for that. I'd like it when you guys give me feedback. If I'm talking too much, too fast, too long, too loud, you guys let me know. Please let me know what you think of this series. Hit that like button on the way out. Of course, you want to subscribe if you want to see more there, fellas. With all that said, I will see you, friends, next time.